Hey, my friends, welcome to Power, Peace, and Love. Tonight, I have a very special guest. I this morning, yesterday, and the day before, I was in contact with them, and I really appreciate Sonny Von Cleveland to take this time and be with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And Sonny, because we have, only in between 35 and 40 minutes. I mean, we're not in a hurry. People start liking it. We just go as much as you can. And this topic is really, it's some kind of the topics that I like to present it to my Hispanic community. And I know that it's going to be a great night tonight. Thank you for being here and
Of
I
course.
appreciate your time.
My absolute
So,
pleasure.
so since we're gonna start, uh, this conversation, I would like to know a little bit about you, about your background, where you live, how connecting, and how's everything.
Yeah, so my name's Sonny Von Cleveland. I'm an author, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. I live with my wife and my dog and my cats in wonderful Palm Springs, California. We own a cat cafe. Our primary business, it's a coffee shop that has cats in it. It's called Frisky Business Palm Springs Cat Cafe. I'm very active in fighting for kids and advocating for healing in the realm of child abuse and human trafficking. I work with an organization called Operation Light Shine, and we fund and build what's called an intercept task force, where we work with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to investigate missing kids, child sexual abuse material disseminated on the internet, and human trafficking. I'm from Carson City, Michigan. In that area, that's where I was born and raised. I spent about 5 years in Cleveland after I spent 18 years of my life incarcerated. I went to prison when I was 16 years old. And over the course of 20 years, I spent 18 years there. It was a pretty rough upbringing. I was victimized quite a bit as a child by multiple men. And I used those experiences in my life to now reach people to help them learn how to heal, how to use your voice as a healing mechanism, how to overcome trauma and shame and fear and guilt and all these wonderful, horribly bad emotions that come with being victimized, to teach people that none of us ever choose to be a victim, but every single one of us choose to remain victims. And we don't have to do that. We don't have to stay stuck in that victim mentality, and that there is a path to healing and to living the life of your dreams at the end of the day.
Yeah, that is wonderful to hear. In our Hispanic community, these topics are taboo, per se.
Yeah.
And we try to bring aware of these topics, especially with our children. Parents sometimes, we have a time when we're starting to talk about these issues with our children. What do you say to these parents? When is the right, is there a right time, or what do you say
Well,
about that?
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think there's ever a wrong time. The earlier that we can start to communicate with our kids and cultivate an aura of safety in the home, where a child feels comfortable and safe expressing their emotions, um, the better. It's a heavy topic to have with a child, that's 4, 5, 6 years old. But there are ways that we can have those conversations with our kids, so that they're comfortable talking about what's happening in their life. And I think it's incumbent upon parents especially father figures in the home, to allow kids to know that you can come to me. I'm your protector. I'm here to love you, to take care of you, to protect you. And by doing that, you're going to cultivate a sense of safety within the child that makes them comfortable expressing themselves and talking about what's going on. And I think having a running open communication with your kids is vitally important to their mental well-being as well as their physical well-being. And I don't know that there's ever a wrong time to actually have that conversation. You, as a parent, the more we put that conversation off, the more detriment we are putting our kids at risk to. Because the law, and I know that some fathers, especially in the Hispanic community, don't like to approach the subject. They don't like to talk about feelings. There's a lot of pride and there's a lot of stoicism that comes with the cultural awareness in the Hispanic community. But I think that shift has to take place at some point. There has to be a shift where men, especially, and fathers, say, you know what, I don't want my child to experience this. I don't want my child to be uncomfortable in the home. So let me engage in this constructive conversation and dialogue with my child so that they know that they're safe telling me anything. And that starts with very mundane and simple things. Like if your child does something wrong, or confides in you and tells you a secret or something, and don't react in an acerbic manner, right? Like you have to embrace the child with love and confidence and kindness and compassion and empathy. And that's how we'll start to cultivate that mindset within our fathers and our kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now that it's time to go to your story, and I appreciate this conversation and this willingness to help us out with these topics.
Of course.
And I would like to, give you now your time to tell us about you and what happened to you, and what can we learn from that.
Well, I have a book about my life. I wrote this. It's a memoir of my life, where I go through. It's called "Hey White Boy: Conversations of Redemption," and I put a spotlight on the process that I went through to heal from my own trauma. So I was abused by 7 men from the time I was 3 until I was 12. And that abuse as a child, I grew up in a fatherless home, lots of boyfriends that came in and out of my mother's life, but not having a secured and structured male role model in my life left me not knowing how to reconcile the emotions that I was having from the trauma that I was enduring. And so I lashed out as a kid and I broke into a church. And I was arrested at the age of 7 and charged with a felony. And we look back at that and we think, how does a child at 7 years old get charged with a felony? And I believe it's because my mother had such a tumultuous relationship with local government. She was very set on like boycotting incoming sheriffs and judges and prosecutors, and would go around with picket signs and community parks and at the courthouses. And so that kind of drew a lot of government attention from the local government in our small little county, which I think, in my mind, that the police officers did this as kind of a retribution towards my mother. However, what they didn't anticipate was that charging me with a felony and putting me on probation allowed me to escape the abuse that I was enduring, because these predators were family friends, my mother's boyfriends, my uncle Mike. And when I was on probation, these men all went away. And clearly they don't want to abuse a child that's in the spotlight of a court, right? Like I've got probation officers are stopping by the house. I've got cops that are stopping by the house. I'm constantly in and out of court. And so when I get off probation, all these men would come back and the abuse would start again. So in my young mind, I cultivated my own form of protection by staying on probation. And so I would constantly go out and break the law. So by the time I was 16 years old, I had 12 felonies on my record. And the judge, which is kind of the ironic thing looking back, none of them ever, I never got put in juvenile detention. I was never put in jail. I never got taken away. And so my assessment of consequence was really askew because it was just probation, right? So for me, it's, I get into trouble, I go into court, I would get a whooping from my mother, I'd go into the courtroom and walk out with probation, which is just a word in the mind of a child. It's just probation, but I developed this protection in this. And so by the time I was 16, the judge was just sick of me and sent me to adult prison. And I went to a level 4 prison. I was raped the first week I was in there by 2 men. And that assault broke something inside of me where I knew, like, if I don't do something, I'm going to be a victim I'm going to die in prison, or I'm just going to stay being victimized this whole time. And as a young white man coming from the country of Michigan, being thrown into a penitentiary system with drug dealers, killers, rapists, gangbangers, like, I've never seen this type of culture in my life. And so I ended up violently assaulting one of the guys, and it kind of changed the scope of the way people perceived me. Nobody saw what they did to me, but they saw what I did to him. And that gave me like this level of respect in prison, that I was approached by a Hispanic gang, and I joined this gang and really delved into gang life. And I saw it as a way to survive, not so much protection, but a survival mechanism, because I no longer feared physical pain. I didn't fear getting into trouble. I wanted to survive. And by embracing gang culture, I was able to survive. But by doing that, I put on so many masks of trying to become this violent creature to be feared, that I got lost in that, and I didn't know how to turn that off. And eventually you become the thing that you're running from. And so when I was 21, they opened the doors and let me out. I had maxed out my sentence. And for 20 months, I ran the streets, turning into big boy crime at this point. As a child, it was all breaking into things, stealing stuff, breaking property. And so they were all kind of petty felonies. But now I got into bigger stuff, and, running guns and robbing drug dealers, breaking into homes and theft rings. And in 2004, I got charged with 15 more felonies and sent back to prison for another 12 years. And it was in that time that I figured, like, man, I got to do something different with my life. I got 2 kids in that short little 20 months that I was out, and I wanted to do something better and wanted to try to fix my life, but still attracted to the gang life because that's my survival mechanism. That's what I know how to do. In 2008, I was given a 5-year sentence in solitary confinement. And that's where I met the man that changed my life. Across the hall from me locked a Muslim man. And he called over, "Hey, white boy, come talk to me." And that's what changed my life ultimately. I wasn't receptive to him at first, but after getting the 5-year sentence, I broke down and, what do you want? And he said, "Why are you so angry?" And I couldn't answer that question, right? The question to me was, that doesn't make sense. Why would you ask that kind of question? I mean, it's obvious why I'm so angry. And after I, yelled at him and cussed him out a few times, I said, "That's not why you're angry. That's why you're mad." And mad is a surface emotion. It's temporary. It's different. And you are a very angry young man. And that type of definition was new to me. It was foreign to me. So I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to answer. And so I finally just broke down and told him my whole life. And breaking down like that, something profound happened when I learned that using your voice and just being brave enough to talk about your trauma and your pain and your emotions, it frees you. It puts you on a path to being able to talk about what's bothering you. And this little thing right here, this is our healing mechanism in life. This is the one thing that can help us heal from the pain and the trauma that we've been through. And so by using my voice more and more and more with this man, I started to learn the concept of kindness and forgiveness and love and compassion and empathy, and forgiveness being the big one. I had to learn to forgive myself and forgive other people that have done me wrong. And that can sometimes be the most challenging part, is to learn how to forgive ourselves for the wrong that we've done to other people, because we're naturally filled with excuses. When confronted with our own fallibility, we will turn to every excuse we can. I've hurt people in my life because this happened to me. And that's a band-aid excuse for what you're doing. And so coming to that realization was really profound, and it was really difficult for me. And I started to get really depressed, because I had to come to terms with the fact that I had caused so much pain to other people that didn't deserve it. And that's the very reason why I was in the position that I was in my life, because I had been caused so much pain and I didn't deserve it. And so I was the quintessential victim turned victimizer, right? And so once I got through that process, I started to learn that the more you speak, the easier it gets to speak, and that using your voice is like a muscle, right? The more you use it, the stronger it gets, the easier it is to talk about, and that's called healing. And there you have a lot, especially amongst men, you have this pervasive culture that we should not talk about our feelings. Men are supposed to be strong, stoic, courageous, bold, brave, and deal with it. But the suicide rate amongst men is astronomically higher than anybody else. Every 60 seconds, a man takes his life in this world. Think about that. That's a lot. That's over 500,000 men a year that commit suicide, because we have this pervasiveness in our culture that says we don't talk about these things. And if you don't let these emotions out, this trauma that's why they call it the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? Because it has to come out, and it's trying to come out through this. It's trying to come out. And when we don't, we stop, we bottleneck it, and we stuff it back down. It builds up in here in our neck. And that's why our necks are always, you know what I mean? Stress builds here in the neck and in the shoulders. And that's why you carry that weight. And when you learn that by talking and speaking and sharing your trauma and your emotions, it's like a magic weight lifted off of you. And it's incredible. So after doing that, I then dedicated my life to helping other people learn how to do this, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. I don't have any special powers that nobody else has. I just went through a process. And so now I don't tell people what to do or how to do it. I just put my life down in a book so that you can watch and read my journey. And if there's something in there that can help you overcome something, amazing. If not, it's just a really good story you can read.
Thank you. This is amazing. Um, Let me ask you this. What is the reaction that you get from people normally? Because this is a very delicate, a very touchy subject. What is the most that you get from people? I don't know if that the suicide rate between younger people is becoming high. And what did you say about that too?
So, on the whole, most of the feedback is always very positive, right? People are always they they are they love the fact that I'm so open and raw with my abuse and my story. And I think that comes from a place of wanting to tell their own pain and speak their own pain. I think it inspires people to know that they can talk about it, and it doesn't make you weak, right? Even as a man, like I'm 6'6", 220 pounds. I'm not a weak guy by any stretch of the imagination. And yet I'm still very comfortable talking about my own pain and my own trauma because I understand the repercussions of doing that might inspire another young man to know that it actually takes way more courage and strength and bravery to talk about this, to put yourself on display because of the ridicule that does come from it. There's maybe 1% of the comments or the feedback or the reactions to me telling my story are from men that make fun of you or say stupid things and dumb comments, but that's coming from a place of pain and fear itself, right? When we're capable of recognizing, if you're a man that's going to be able to make fun of another man who's talking about the abuse and trauma and pain that he's endured in his life, and you're going to make fun of that, it's either because you're a predator or you're a victim. You've been a victim in your life and you don't have the courage and the bravery to do that. So that man telling that story is shining a mirror on you. And so I think that's where those comments come from. As to the other topic with the suicide rates climbing amongst younger people, I think it's because we can attribute that to we live in a culture now, in a society where whatever you say can be taken and used against you. Oh, no matter what side you're on, right? No matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on, no matter what your religious beliefs are, whatever you say is on deck to be scrutinized and turned against you. If you try to make a positive comment about someone, you're going to get a whole influx of other people that are going to come on and because you supported that person with a nice comment, they're going to attach you to that person and then ridicule you. So I think young people sometimes just don't know where to turn. They don't know which way to go, and they don't know how to speak. They don't know how to use their voice. They're afraid. They're not raised in a culture that teaches to use your voice, teaches you to speak. And it's so sad and unfortunate to see how many people are actually ending their own lives because of this internal pain that they're dealing with. The lack of love and appreciation for life is at an all-time low. And it's not a problem that's going to fix itself, right? We have to take up this banner and go out and teach, right? The great Aristotle once quoted, "Men is made for the sake of each other. Teach or tolerate," right? So it's on us as human beings to recognize other human beings as living human beings and help them, right? If we've been through something, by you sharing your story, or you, whoever's watching, you sharing your story might inspire somebody else to talk about the pain that they're going through and might save a life. You might prevent them from killing themselves. And to me, that's worth it. We have to step out of this culture of it's all about me. It's what I can get, what I can accomplish. Most cultures in antiquity, up until the last couple of hundred years, the smallest unit was the family. There was no such thing as me. It wasn't all about what I can get. It's about what can we accomplish as a family, as a unit, as a community, as a town, as a city, as a culture, as a nation. And that's where that community sense of togetherness came from. But we've lost that along the way because we live, especially in the United States, we live in a culture where I have to get as much as I can for me before I die so that I can leave it for my kids, and my kids will have more than I did. And that's just the wrong state of mind to live in.
Sorry, in the school systems, I think everywhere here in the United States, these topics we don't talk about it very much either. So it's not only our job as a parents to talk to our children, about abuse and bullying and all this mental illness, all of this. What do you say about our system not taking care of those issues? Because this is real.
It's I think parents put teachers in such a tough position because if we talk about this in school, if we bring the subject up, you have a huge demographic of parents that get angry and inflamed by it because it's not your place to talk to my child about this. Your job is to teach them math or science. And again, we we dismiss the human element of living. Teachers are some of the most selfless people on the planet. Their whole job is to cultivate the mind of a young human being and teach them to be adults, to grow up. And we cut them off at the knees by saying you can't talk about this topic in school. Yet that talking about that topic in school can save their life. It can make them more comfortable about going home and engaging in a dialogue with their parents about this topic. Sure, there has to be a line. There's got to be a threshold of how far that conversation can go in a classroom. But to initiate the conversation itself, I think is it's not only not harmless, but it's helpful, right? It can help the kids have a desire to have that dialogue with their parents when they get home, or even talk with each other, amongst their friends. Learn to not be afraid to have conversations about your emotions, about what you're going through in life. And so I think that we cut these teachers off at the knees. I think parents have to be a little more understanding and lenient, because at the end of the day, I believe that every parent wants their child to grow up to be a good, productive, kind, loving, caring citizen of whatever country they live in. They just have there's this it's and I blame social media, I blame the news. We live in this society that only puts out negative, terrible stuff, right? Like that's all you see when you look at news or you look at social media is a shooting here, a stabbing there, a beheading here, a raping over there, a killing over here. It's like, talk about the beautiful things that are happening in this world, right? Why can't we put that on display? But it goes back to the human nature of loving train wrecks. We watch a train wreck, we can't peel our eyes away. And so I think it's indicative of a cultural mindset, and we have to have parents that get educated on this topic, that go in and say, listen, I want you to teach my kid. I want you to get them comfortable about being able to share and talk about emotions and pain and tragedy, and respect the threshold of how far this conversation can go in a public forum or in a school setting.
Wonderful. Let me ask you this, and people are having their comments over here, and we really appreciate everybody that is joining us in this chat tonight. Thank you very much. And can
I
we
just saw all
talk
the
about
comments.
a
I didn't have the
little?
comment thing up.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit of the forgiveness part? How did you do that? When did you learn that part? How that came out to your life? In what moment?
So the forgiveness part really came into my life when I was in the hole in solitary confinement. And this was a question. So he sent me over this book that was called The Likability Factor. And as I'm going through this book is a manual of how to develop personality traits that will make you likable in society as a whole. And the first time I read through this, I was just so it made me ashamed of who I was, because I started to think, I don't fit anything in this book. I'm not a likable person. And then my mentor had told me, you can be anything you want to be. You don't have, there's not some mandatory personality trait that you have to have. You don't have to be mad. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be unkind. You don't have to be uncaring. You can choose how you act. You can choose the personality that you want. And that's what the book is talking about. And so for me, it's to learn how to forgive myself. I had to learn how to like myself. I had to learn how to love myself because I didn't feel like I was a very likable or lovable person. And when you have this feeling of unworthiness and unlovability, you don't you can't walk the path of a likable, kind, caring, loving person. And it makes forgiveness so much more difficult because I'm not worthy of forgiveness. And so when I realized that none of us have a rule book in this lifetime, we all make mistakes. There's not a person on this planet that has walked through this life without making a mistake, without doing something wrong to somebody at some point in your life. And knowing that, with all the wrong that's been done to us, on the same token, there's nobody here that has not been hurt or gone through some type of trauma or pain in your life. In the way that you forgive other people, because almost all of us have also had somebody that came up and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." And in that moment, you forgave them. You gave them grace. You said, "You know what? I'm not going to hold it against you because you made a mistake." And so when you learn to do that same thing with yourself, I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I was trying to cope with life the best that I knew how with the tools that I had at the time and the knowledge and the wisdom I had at the time. But I was driven by anger and emotion and pain. And when you learn to accept that you're fallible as a human being, I can then seek remorse. I can seek out that forgiveness by putting it out to the world, to give it to God that I'm sorry for what I've done. I was in such a bad state of mind that I was selfish, I was uncaring, I was unkind. I didn't weigh the consequences of my action on other people. And I'm truly remorseful and sorry for the things that I've done to people. That's where your forgiveness comes in. That's where self-forgiveness comes in, when you're actually sorry about it and you do something to correct that behavior, to make amends for that behavior. And I wrote letters to victims that I don't even know who they are. I just wrote it down and I kept writing it. And then I would read it out loud and read it out loud, and just in hope that God is taking, whether you call him God, Odin, Buddha, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you call him, that the universe is going to take that remorse and that sadness, that seeking of forgiveness, and you're going to put it on the hearts of these people that I want it for. And then when you do that, you commit to living a better life and living a life that is worthy of forgiveness. And so I committed to spending the rest of my life trying to be the best version of myself, to show that the people that I've hurt in the past, that your pain wasn't in vain, that what I have done to you was not for no reason, that it was a lesson in my life that I had to learn so that I could become the person that I am today and save lives and help teach people in the manner and the way that I'm doing it now. And so that is my amends. I live the best life that I possibly can and help as much as I can to show that what I've done in the past, I'm truly remorseful for, and have learned my lesson from that to live a better life.
Wow, how powerful. Thank you. Thank you for this.
Very welcome.
Time goes by fast. What would you say to our audience in and let me see if we have specific questions over here. Well, we have so many comments. So, but anyway, what did you say to just to we're gonna start just saying goodbye and ask people where they connecting from, and any question specific, just write it in the comments. We're gonna read it. And Sonny, how we live tonight? How would you say to our audience tonight?
I would, I always leave with a call to action. I try to. It's on us as people to fix what is wrong in our world and in our society, in life. Every one of you that are watching, anybody that might hear this, you are so worthy of the life of your dreams. You did not ask for the pain that you've endured. You did not ask for the trauma that you've been through, but it's a part of this experience that we have called life. It's your choice whether it's going to stop you in your tracks and dictate the rest of the way your life is going to go, or it's also your choice to let it go and understand that it's a part of the journey and that you are capable of healing and living a great life, the life of your dreams. And it works. It works. Understand that you deserve to heal, that you deserve to be loved, to be accepted. And if people don't accept you, that's okay. Somebody will. Keep going. The only time we lose is when we quit. And the great Viktor Frankl said it best: suffering ceases to be suffering the moment we give it a purpose. Such is the meaning of sacrifice. Everything that you have been through and that you've endured in your life puts you in the position to where you are right now. And if you're unhappy with your life at this very moment, make a different decision tomorrow. You can change it. There's no rules that say you can't, right? If you don't like where you live, move. If you don't like your job, quit, get a new one. If you don't like the person that you're with, leave, find somebody else, right? We as humans, again, put excuses and blockages up for everything in our life. We have this, what I call acceptable pain that we're comfortable dealing with. I hate my job, but it's better than being homeless. So instead of quitting my job and maybe going out and trying to do something better, I'm going to stay in this comfortable misery because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't, if I choose to do something different. And so we get stuck in this comfortable pain that we get used to dealing with because it doesn't hurt as bad, because we're used to it. It's something I can deal with. I'll come home, drink a beer, and I'm fine. And that's numbing ourselves, right? We're putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. And we have to learn to not do that, to challenge ourselves, to push ourselves, to not be afraid to fail, and to find whatever it is that you would do in this lifetime for free and never do anything else except that ever again. And you will at some point monetize that, and it will pay for your life, and it will make your life better, and it will make the people around you better. Care about yourself. Love yourself. Being the best version of you is the best thing you can do for anybody else in your life. And follow me.
Wow.
Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on
Yes.
Instagram. Follow me on social media everywhere. I do my best every day to try to put something positive out into the world that lets people know that you're worthy of love and healing, and you're deserving. So go get it. The world's not going to give it to you. You got to go get it.
Absolutely. Where your book is available in Amazon?
You can get it anywhere. You can order it through Barnes and Nobles. Amazon's probably the easiest way to get it. But you can even send me a DM. I answer everything. So if you send me a DM, it might take me a minute, but I will respond and I'll answer. And you can buy a signed copy directly from me and I'll ship it to you. If you cover the shipping, I will sign it and I will send it to you.
There you go. Well, Sonny, thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you very
welcome.
much. And thank you for tonight. And we wish you good luck in all your endeavors. And thank you very much. I saw that it's documentary coming up
Yes.
or
I'm
something like that.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I went to I drove 12,000 miles around the country to 20 different cities, and interviewed and had conversations with people about pain and healing and trauma, and what an enlightening, life-changing trip, right? Like every single one of us have dealt with some type of pain or trauma in our life. None of us are exempt from it. right? And you see some of the magical people that I've had conversations with that have overcome just some of the craziest circumstances in life, whether it has been from malicious victimization to mother nature destroying your entire community to, accidental DUI deaths to all these varying levels of trauma that people have endured and are able to pick up the pieces and keep going. And the whole point of the documentary is to show people that you're not alone. You're not, a lot of people, when they're victimized or they're abused or they've been through pain, they feel like they're alone. And you're not. There is a community of people out here that will show you love, kindness, empathy, compassion, support. You are not alone, but it starts with you reaching out in doing something. You have to do it. You got to let them know you're there, and they will come and they will wrap you in their arms in love, and they'll help you. I mean, we live in a beautiful world. We really do. We just spotlight all the bad stuff. And so if we can learn to stop looking at that spotlight everywhere else around it, it's just so much beauty and love in the world.
Before we wrap up, and a little quick, how as a parents, how we can protect our children, how we can notice these changes on them.
Be vigilant, right? Watch what your kids consume, right? It takes a little bit of being a parent in today's technology. You have to be cognizant of what they're doing. The most predators are now approaching kids online through DMs, through video games, through open chats. And it's not that difficult to kind of have some oversight. I got a 16-year-old kid that volunteers at my cat cafe who can't even jump on Google. He's got his own phone, but he can't even get on Google until his dad gives him a clearance on it. So when he tries to log in, it sends an alert to his dad's phone, and dad can say, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm just Googling this." Go for it, right? And that type of oversight will keep your kids safe. And I know that it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to do, but these are your kids, right? Like this is what you signed up for when you became a parent. And I had a lady the other day that said he will scream and cry and throw a fit if I don't let him play his video games. Would you rather him scream and cry and throw a fit over playing video games, or would you rather have him screaming and crying because he's been abused and victimized? I'd rather have him being screaming and crying because he's angry that he doesn't get to play a video game. You can let them play video games. You just have to watch what they do. Research. When they jump on and they're like, "I want a new game," research the game. They jump on your phone. Like this thing right here gives you access to all the information in the world that you could need. Google it. Look it up. Is it safe? Is it not? Follow organizations like Operation Lightshine. We give so much educational tools and materials for parents to recognize how predators invade your home and get to your kids. Educate yourself. You can literally put the question you just asked me into Google. How do I protect my kids from online predators? And you're going to get so much information. It's on you to apply it. You have to apply it as a parent.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Very
And my audience, follow Sonny Von Cleveland in his social media, wherever he is more active. And follow us in Power, Peace, and Love, and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're everywhere. So thank
Follow
you
everywhere.
very much. And
You're very welcome.
thank you. Good luck to you.
Bye.
Bye.